Two Worlds 2 was not a game that I enjoyed, but I still forced myself to return and play through its expansion, Pirates of the Flying Fortress, to answer the question, does this DLC have quality enough to redeem the whole title? Well, no, but we'll get into that later. First things first, a short recap of the main game is in order. Before I started taking the larger amount of time and effort to make these videos and reviews, I was still writing shorter ones on Steam. Let's take a quick look at what I'd written for the main game, as it overwhelmingly still applies to the DLC content. The first game was better. Really can't recommend this one to anyone who isn't already a giant fan of Eurojank role-playing games with exceptionally poor storytelling, subpar mechanics, and a threatening UI. Typically, with games like these, the charm outweighs the lack of quality, but here the only charm is making fun of it. What does this game have going for it if you can look past how bad it is? Environments look good. The game actually functions, I had no crashes or game-breaking bugs. General consensus is that the magic system is really good, though my personal playthrough was a melee character and comedy. Hi, I'm Scurvy Banana. I make reviews and guides almost exclusively centered around games with pirates in them. If you have any recommendations for a pirate or perhaps a tropical game you'd like to see me cover, feel free to comment it below and don't forget to hit the sub button. Two Worlds 2, Pirates of the Flying Fortress, released during the September of 2011 and was developed by the Polish studio Reality Pump, working under the German publisher Topware Interactive. Two Worlds 2 itself is a sequel to the Elder Scrolls Oblivion killer, Two Worlds. To put things short, the Two Worlds series is extremely janky and seems to have taken heavy inspiration from the classic Piranha Bytes games like Gothic and Risen. It's a bit difficult to track down information since these companies are foreign to me, but I believe that Topware Interactive is now a defunct company as they seem to have had financial problems in the previous years. At some point in the near future, I plan to bring them up again, as I want to cover their more notorious pirate game, Vendetta: Curse of the Raven's Cry. From this point onward, the review will be dropping spoilers. If you do not wish to see spoilers, turn back now. This game is more than 10 years old and has a pretty low completion rate, thus I have no qualms spoiling it in full. To begin the DLC, I went the route of going straight in, which provided me with an appropriately leveled and geared pre-made character, instead of carrying over my previous save from playing through the main story. After character creation, some cinematics play which set up the plot. More or less, our hero is hired by the cursed and legendary pirate Ed Teal to hunt up some treasure. Besides treasure, Teal sets us off on a covert mission to reunite him with his lover Maren. However, it's revealed there are two Eds vying for her attention, as the archipelago's curse renders its citizens as two separate entities, a body and a soul. Now we've got our main plot and a major subplot. Find the treasure, reunite the captain's body and soul. There are a few important crew members. The aging Nicky Nails aids us against Ed's body behind the scenes, the Grump Cutter sends us on some side quests, and the drunken slob Billy Bug Eyes functions as the ship's merchant. This is more or less where the pirate theming comes to an end, as the majority of playtime is spent doing stereotypical fantasy role-playing game things. Anyways, to carry on with the plot, after the wild goose chase to reunite Ed Teal's body and soul, or not, there are a few plot choices you can make, and I only played through the one. You set off into another wild goose chase for the treasure, and you end up at the magical flying fortress to discover that it is the ship of a cartographer named Nanook, who along with his ship have been cursed into stone and cast into the sky by the god Throglin. Nanook wanted to be so much of a big brain, Throglin got upset and morphed him into a rock. The section of game near the end about this is mostly set within the winding mind of Nanook after he's lost his marbles, and the amount of visual effect features through this several-hour sequence made me feel like losing my lunch. Really, I could deal with the yellow tone shift, but putting the fisheye lens filter over the entire game for several hours was a poor choice. To wrap up the story, we fixed Nanook's mind in order for him to grant us a wish, and then we grant his wish by ending his eternally tormented life, thus causing the flying fortress to fall into the sea. If that isn't your cup of grog, then keep in mind that this is a role-playing game and there's a plethora of side quests.
The jar. Jar, yes. Take it. But I never asked. What do you need the jar for? I want to pickle cucumbers. So, yeah.
Through my entire playthrough, my character remained dressed like Shrek during his initial Fiona rescue, and most of the gameplay was spent running through cave dungeons, killing orc things, or standard zombies. Despite this being the Pirate DLC, I never managed to even find the tricorn hat to dress my character appropriately. That was disappointing. Side quests were very odd to me. I think that the developers realized a large proponent of the Two Worlds fanbase were folks playing it for its unintentional comedic aspect, but they've really missed the mark for me, as it seems when they're purposefully trying to be funny, the jokes fall short. There are side quests such as a Santa Claus present delivery, transsexual elf dating, secret zombie nightclubs, and dogman training. Maybe I'm just humorless. While running all these quests, you'll be hopping between a few islands via a small sailboat. There's no boat combat in this game. While on land, somehow I kept feeling the maps felt oddly linear for an open world experience, and also the mob density seemed to be way too high. Also, the overworld mobs respawn. I very quickly got tired of taking a few steps in any direction and spamming my way through the brain-dead combat, which led me to simply spend most of the game just running past the encounters. The combat in this game is only really praised if you play any sort of wizard. I took the role of a warrior, which is perhaps where my problem lies. I had a very small pool of attacks, and I pretty much just face-tanked everything head-on. I'm not sure if part of the problem here is that my pre-built expansion-ready character was overpowered at the start, or if the DLC in general is poorly scaled for difficulty.
So where is she? Why haven't you brought her?
She mentioned some urgent, pressing matters. No doubt she has to prepare. You know women.
In my initial review for Two Worlds 2, I stated that my experience was bugless. That sentiment does not apply for this expansion. Almost immediately after starting and getting the sailboat to Island Hop, I managed to accidentally beach the vessel, which made it permanently stuck. I went to check up on it later, and it had completely disappeared. This led me to having to swim in between each of the islands before I unlocked the magical teleports. A nearly game-breaking bug I encountered was during the end section within the Mind of Nanook. There is a sequence where he must run through several rooms of a house, and you help with different tasks per room. However, his pathing caused him to get stuck on almost every single doorway. I had to reset this instance several times, and I discovered that in order to actually progress, I would have to run ahead of him to make my character block his character and push his character into going through the doors correctly. Also, as a minor, a lot of the real-time dialogue sequences and cutscenes would have broken animations for me. Mostly it was apparent as characters would talk without actually moving their mouths. My final thoughts, despite providing me with an additional 12 or so hours past the main game, I can't say that any of it was particularly fun or redeeming of any of it. It was bad. it's not good. Don't play it. And definitely, if you're gonna play it, don't pay full price for it. Like, if you're really dead set on playing this one, make your expectations really low and go into it, and then maybe you'll have fun, or just, I don't know, play a better game.
Good day to you, son. Hope our captain is satisfied with your services.
Yeah, I hope so too, Lieutenant.